In south-central France, there lies a small village built on the slope of a volcanic hill. With a population of less than 4,000 residents, the area is not well known other than a few historical ties to the Catholic Church. It is a quiet and simple place, boasting a medieval church, a few small shops and offices, and plenty of farms. One of those farms is Ferme de Moillac, a sanctuary for rescued farm animals. Five buildings spread around a courtyard and coupled with grazing areas, it could easily blend into the scenic view of picturesque isolation. Yet the folks who run this sanctuary couldn't be satisfied with simply rescuing animals. They created a sanctuary for the European crust punk and grindcore scene. Several nights per week, the floorboards were sticky with spilled lager, while the air tasted of hand-rolled tobacco. For most creatures, this environment would be a sensory nightmare. But for a small, white, seemingly indestructible goat named Biquette, it was her happy place, her home. Biquette, French for nanny goat, was not a mascot in the traditional sense. She was a fixture of the underground, a regular who happened to possess hooves and a goatee. While the internet would eventually turn her into a meme in the early 2010s, those who frequented the farm knew her as a sentient creature who embodied the scene's ethos, stubborn, unfiltered, and entirely indifferent to the expectations of the outside world. Her origin story lacked any pastoral romance. Biquette was a refugee from the industrial dairy complex, labeled as a failed milk goat who was destined for the slaughterhouse before being rescued and brought to the farm. Most goats, when presented with a quiet pasture and the company of their own kind, settle into a rhythmic life of grazing. Biquette, however, harbored a strange disdain for her peers. She didn't want the herd, she wanted the humans. Specifically, she wanted the humans who played fast, distorted music and shouted into microphones. She didn't just want to survive, she wanted to thrive and live her best freaking life. The legend of Biquette was solidified in 2012 when a photograph of a Worm Rock concert went viral. In the image, the Singaporean grindcore band is a blur of kinetic energy. The crowd is a mass of leather, piercings, and sweat. Meanwhile, inches from the vocalist's feet stands Biquette. She isn't cowering or bolting for the exit. Her facial expression looks contemplative, almost regal, as if she is personally mixing the monitors. Understanding Biquette is to understand the physics of extreme music. The low-end frequencies of a bass guitar or a double kick drum don't just create sound, they create physical pressure. Observers noted that Biquette seemed particularly drawn to the vibrations. She would often station herself directly in front of the amplifiers, her body absorbing the sonic assault that would send most domestic animals into a panicked frenzy. But she wasn't merely tolerating the noise, she was consuming it. The noise from the speakers seemed to give her genuine joy. Beyond the sound and vibrations, her diet was equally legendary and arguably more hazardous. Biquette lived with a complete disregard for her physical health. She was known to snatch lit cigarette butts from the fingers of unsuspecting punks and guzzle the dregs of lukewarm beer and cider left on the stage. There are even stories of her attempting to drink used motor oil. While this trash compactor lifestyle likely contributed to her relatively short lifespan, she passed away in December 2013 at the age of 10. It cemented her status as a creature that belonged more to the asphalt and the amplifier than the meadow. Critics of the scene often worried about her welfare, questioning the ethics of a goat in a mosh pit. However, those who lived at Moillac maintained that Biquette was the one in control. She wasn't tied up or forced into the room. She moved through the farm with total autonomy. If she didn't like a band, she would simply leave. And this did happen at times. She wasn't always a fan of the band on stage. Her presence was a choice, a strange elective affinity between a farm animal and a subculture defined by its own sense of displacement. When Biquette died, the underground mourned. Her passing was covered by international music outlets from NME to Vice, thankfully not as a joke, but as the loss of a genuine icon. She represented a peculiar intersection of simplistic nature and industrial chaos. In a world that often tries to sanitize and categorize every experience, Biquette was a reminder that sometimes the most punk thing you can do is stand exactly where you aren't supposed to be, unbothered by the volume. She was the patron saint of the outliers, a four-legged testament to the idea that some spirits simply require a bit more distortion than others. So I say, rest in peace, dear Biquette. We will remember you as a true punk icon. Thanks for listening.